Welcome back, friends and friendettes and friendlitos. It's your buddy Steve. I'm back. It's been quite a while since I've been back, but I figured I'd check in with you. It's August 7th. Congratulations, we made it to August 7th, 2024. 2024. Um, Everything's going good, man. I can't complain. I mean, I could about some things, but why would I? Life's going pretty good today. Um, it's been about 5 months since I've checked in on this MF over here, and I apologize for that, but I've been finding it hard to find time to get down here and record podcasts. I've been spending a lot of time either working or with family or friends, and life is good. It's been over 3 years now, and I know, looking back on my episode lists, I recorded an episode when I hit 1 year bet free and 2 years bet free. But I did not do that this year, and I just haven't honestly prioritized time to come down here and record. But my wife and my kids are out having some ice cream, and I said, you know what? Let me get down here and say hello to the friends and friendettes and friendlitos and whatever the hell else I said in the beginning. But yeah, May 2nd of 2024 was 3 years for me. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, congratulations, Steve. Congratulations, fantastic, wonderful, good job. No, but that's something I am proud to say. It's been over 3 years, and over 3 years and 3 months at this point since I've placed a bet, and life is very good. I'm still doing my meetings once every couple of weeks. I should check in more there, but I still am going to my meetings, not as much as I used to, but like I said, life has gotten busy, which is not an excuse. Not an excuse. I'm just saying I'm just in one of these time periods where I can only make it every 2 to 4 weeks, which stinks because I love the guys in my group. I have a really great group of guys in my Monday night meeting, and like I've said before, if you ever want to join that group, feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to send you the link to that. I've probably gone to my one-on-one therapy twice this year. And honestly, it's just been for other issues in my life. Stuff related to family stuff and how to go about handling that. Reconnected with some family members that I hadn't talked to in a while. And just trying to learn to let go of old resentments and anger, because honestly, what good does it do? I'm just trying to live a positive, happy life, and I just have to come to terms and realization that not everyone's going to hear what you have to say or is going to fully understand where you're coming from, and that's okay. I know that my feelings are valid. I know where I'm coming from, and you have no idea what I'm talking about, so I'm going to just cut it right there. But I just want to say everything is good. I'm not going to put any family business like that out there, but life is good. We just came back from a vacation from Cape Cod. Cape Cod, bro. We went to Cape Cod. Man, I didn't realize that was an island. Maybe that's silly, but I've lived in the Northeast my whole life. Did not realize Cape Cod was a freaking island, bruh. And there it is, hanging out with my almost 7-year-old. Too much, bruh. Anybody that's got young kids knows what bruh is. Yeah, it was awesome. Went out to the Cape, as they call it. Just had an awesome week, just spending time with just my wife and my kids. Just from, the moment that you wake up to the moment that you go to sleep, spending time together, going to the beach. We did an escape room. Saw a whole bunch of seals. I don't know, just a lot of good family memories created this past week. And I realized that you know I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't been over 3 years bet free at this point. Um, I think back to when I was gambling and like money was always so tight. For more than just the gambling reasons, but it was just the life that I'm living right now is the life I was hoping to achieve gambling, and I couldn't be happier. Um, Sorry, I'm looking at this picture that's on this desk here. The desk I'm sitting at is my wife's desk. She uses it for work, and I got my microphone set up here, and there's a picture of my wife and my two kids outside of a boat called the Mohican in Lake George, New York. And I'm looking at this, and this picture is from May 9th, 2021. So not even a week. It was 6 days after everything had come out. And I was still trying to just rebound, like just try to figure out what was going on. I had no idea what was going to happen with my life, my marriage. But yeah, I'm just looking at this picture and how far things have come since then. And that's one thing I've noticed. There's other pictures. Obviously, you got pictures around your house, Pictures will come up on the Alexa or whatever, just looking around. And I look at pictures from back in those days, especially the days when I was gambling, but even sometimes before that, when I'm looking at myself and I just know I have this, I can like see this pain in my eyes where I just don't feel good enough for my family, and I just doubt, I don't know. I've just noticed I have a hard time, especially looking at the pictures from, mid-late 2019 until things happened in 2021. And there's a particular picture that I think it's on my phone of my wife that not of my wife, but that my wife took of me, maybe a week before everything came out, and we're like eating lunch at the table, and she took a picture of me, and you can just see the bags under my eyes, this hollow look on my face as I'm eating a sandwich, and I can just see the despair in my face, like just knowing at that point how much money I had lost and how many lies I had told and how I had gotten to this place, and how was I ever going to get myself out of this mess, and how am I going to be the husband and father that my family deserves when I can't even get myself out of this mess. And I look at these pictures, and sometimes I have a hard time looking at them. But, you gotta look. It's like that expression, look back but don't stare. I can never get too complacent, which is why even all these years later that I won't even have a drink. The last time I had a drink was on my honeymoon in 2012. And I was just talking about this with a friend of mine, good friend of mine up here. We've become close with this family up here in the last year. And I was talking with my friend Zach just about like why I don't drink, and how it's just not worth the risk for me. And it was what was it, like I think it was this past Saturday. Their son's birthday, and yeah, a lot of people are having drinks, having a good time, and do I sometimes wish I could be like quote unquote normal and be able to have a drink like a normal person, whatever you want to say. Like, yeah, I mean, sometimes I wish I could be that person, that I could have a drink and have a good time with friends, but I know that that's not me. And even though I said to him, I'm like, I'm 99% sure that at this point in my life, I could probably have a drink and nothing would happen. It wouldn't lead me to back deep into drug addiction and stuff like that. But I said, it's for me, it's not worth the risk, because even if it's just that 1% that I could be having a drink and then something happens that day and it just starts that spiral down again. For me, it's not worth it. I've been down that road too many times in my life, and I will not do anything to jeopardize or risk my family and my life that I've built today. I don't ever want to risk hurting my kids and the destruction that addiction brings and I almost brought in their lives. I think back, I look at this picture with my wife and my kids, and just looking back, there were 7 and 4 in this picture, and they don't know how close they could have come to having a broken family and growing up, with a weekend father, like me. And I'm so grateful that my wife chose to work through this with me. And now today we have a better relationship than we've ever had before. I feel like I'm finally the person I'm supposed to have been, or best version of myself, yada yada, whatever you want to call it. But I really feel like I am the best version of myself today. And I can be there for the people in my life the way that they deserve. And I was having a conversation with my wife recently about, just some issues that have been going on. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but I was just basically, what I'm getting at is, what I was letting her know is, like, even though at this point in my life I am at the, I'm operating, my operating system's at the best it's been in my life, it's like I still have to, be vigilant. I have to be diligent. I have to watch and make sure these things don't come up. And when they do, I have to beat it down quickly. Because, we were recently at like a party, like I was saying, and we're at a place where there was people who were doing much better financially than myself. And in the past, that used to be a big trigger for me, is seeing people who were doing better than me and being like, why can't I provide this to my family? And I had to recognize that, like, that was starting to creep up on me. And that was something I had said to my wife. I was like, this is those feelings that used to creep up, and being like, because my son had asked, like, why can't we get one of these little cabins or whatever on, by this lake? I was like, well, dude, we don't have $500,000 laying around to go buy one of these things. And, I know it's unrealistic to think that, like, that's, I mean, it's attainable, but, I recognize that that's not something to get down on myself about, right? So I recognized that was a thing that started popping up. It was an old trigger of mine, but I was like, our life is great right now. We just came back from Cape Cod, and we have a great life, a great family, a great house, a great, just great friends. Some of my friends I wish I could see more. Kills me that I can't see some of my close friends. But it's just hard to see people these days, living so far away. But then, a couple days after having that conversation, I was on the phone with my wife yesterday, and she's on her way back from somewhere, and her and my 2 kids saw a family on the side of the road with a sign saying that they were broke down, they were trying to get back to Texas, they needed some help. And it was my son who said, when it was just the 3 of them, who said he wanted to turn around and go help them. And, they only had like a couple of toys and a couple of snacks, but they, gave them a couple of toys, a couple of snacks. And my wife told me where they were, so I was heading home. And, I went and helped them in a way that I could help them. I'm not going to sit here and pat myself on the back and say exactly what I did, but I was able to go help these people in a way that they were grateful for. And, I was able to see clearly, it's like these people are, a husband and wife, several children, young kids, were in a tough situation and they needed some help. And I was able to recognize, and it helped me appreciate my life even more than I already do. It's like, I don't know why our brains are so trained to go to look at what you don't have as opposed to what you have. So a few days ago, I'm looking at this lakefront that we were on and multiple cabins that people own. And at first, my brain's like, man, it sucks that you can't afford or provide this type of life for your kids. Meanwhile, 3 days later, we come across a family who doesn't even have enough gas money to get down the road, or a place to stay that night. So it's like, that just helped me appreciate what we have in life more, even more than I already did. And it really made me proud of my son for wanting to turn around and help them. I'm really proud to be raising two great kids. That he sees people on the side of the road, and he said if he had his money, he would turn around and give them money. Great kids. I'm really grateful for my family, like I've said a dozen times. But anyways, I'm not going to ramble on too long here. It's getting late. Your boy's got to get to bed. He's got work at 4 o'clock in the morning. I just wanted to come on here, check in with you, let you guys know everything's still going good. Over 3 years bet free at this point. Like I said, good job, Steve. Good job. You're so wonderful, Steve. Congratulations. But yeah, I come on here not to be like, oh, look at me, I got a whole 3 years. It's just like like I said, I'm looking back at this picture. 6 days bet free in this picture. And I could still see the pain in my eyes and not knowing where my life was going to lead and not knowing if I was going to have my kids and my wife by my side, or a dollar in my pocket, or if I was going to relapse, or where I was going to be. Like, I hated myself in this picture. And over 3 years later, my life is completely transformed. So I only share this to just let you know, like, if you're in your early days or in your first year or whatever it is, and you're still weeding through the pain and the difficulty and the struggle and trying to come to terms with where you are in life, and still figuring out how to pay the debts off and rebuild the relationships. It's like, is life perfect today? No, but it is so much better than it was in this picture 6 days away from my last bet. And now here I am, over 3 years and 3 months past my last bet, and life is so much better. So I only share that, and I only share these stories just to let you know that, I've said this before, I'm not trying to be repetitive, but like, life can get better if you put in the work, go to meetings, go to therapy, try to figure out what the hell it was that brought me to this place. Because most of the time, there's a way to trace it back and recognize how you got there. And this way, when those things come up again, like I was talking about, these triggers I used to have, you can figure out what they are and not go down that road. Put the roadblock up before you even start down that road. And if you have to, talk about it to someone. I talked about it to my wife, about how I felt and why I felt that way and what I did to stop it. I just have to be aware for myself so I can continue to be a happy, productive person, husband, father, friend, and fellow person in recovery. So with that, I appreciate you for listening and sticking with this, even when I take these friggin' 5-month breaks. I can't even call them breaks. I just haven't come down here and pressed the dang record button. But here we are. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Be good to yourselves and each other. Hopefully, I'll be back before December. Bye.